So today, let's have a squint at this beautiful bright blue bugger, the OnePlus Nord CE 4 Lite 5G. Don't want to miss out the 5G, obviously. With the Nord CE 4 Lite, OnePlus is trying to deliver top value for your precious cash. Not only do you get a gorgeous AMOLED screen, a SuperVOOC fast charging battery, and a feature-packed OxygenOS experience, but you've also got stuff like memory card support and a headphone jack, which are missing on most £1,000 flagship phones. And it's just 299 quid. This ruddy marvellous. I just got back from a trip to the States and I took the Nord with me to give it a thorough going over. So here's a closer look at the best and shiniest bits, and a massive thanks to OnePlus for sponsoring this video. Cheers! Now the first thing you gotta love about the Nord CE 4 Lite is just how bright and bold that design is. You can grab it in super silver if you want, otherwise this incredibly in-your-face mega blue effort, which apparently took inspiration from that double hard jumpy flippy 8-bit fella Mega Man. I still can't even say that name without getting Vietnam-style flashbacks to endlessly dying over and over on my mate's NES. It's a plastic back and frame as well, as you'd expect at this sort of price point. Quite a glossy finish around back, so you will want to keep it polished up to keep it looking fresh. And the colour of that edging matches the back end, so it all blends in nicely. And the OnePlus Nord CE 4 Lite is IP54 rated, so it's not fully water resistant. You can't go dunking it in a hot tub or whatever, but it can get pretty damp without absolutely self-destructing. Now on the software side, the OnePlus Nord CE 4 Lite naturally running a tasty bit of Android 14, but with OxygenOS squatting merrily on top. And OnePlus is offering 2 Android OS updates and 3 years of security support. And as always, OxygenOS is pleasingly customizable. Just dive into wallpaper and styles. You can quickly and easily change up the fonts, the icons, the colors, all the usual shenanigans, even a good bit of the in-display fingerprint sensor animation. We've also got a decent selection of always on displays, the only problem being that it's not actually always on. And OxygenOS is particularly good at helping you to chill out a bit when life just gives you 1 or 2 swift uppercuts to the danglies. So for instance, you've got the likes of Relax on here, which can help fool your brain into thinking you're sat by the seashore enjoying life, rather than somewhere that's considerably more depressing like Scunthorpe. And if you don't like the melodious sounds of the ocean, no worries, plenty of other options in there. Good old Zen Space is a cracker as well if you just want a bit of you time, want to block out all the bollocks going on in the world. Tons of other great features as well, too many to go into really. And great news if you download loads of apps, because you've got 256 gigs of storage on the OnePlus Nord CE 4 Lite. And if you manage to fill that up, well no worries, you've even got space for a micro SD memory card in that second SIM slot. Now one of the big upgrades for this generation of Nord CE smartphone is the Poppy AMOLED display. It's a Full HD Plus panel, so visuals are crisp as well as punchy as well on the default vivid color settings. And OnePlus has added in some Aqua Touch tech, so even when that screen is a bit damp, your pokes and swipes are still responsive. So if you happen to live somewhere with reasonably inclement and unpredictable weather, like the UK for instance, that could be a really handy feature. Now if you're lucky enough to live in sunnier climes, well good news there too. The OnePlus Nord CE 4 Lite's panel can hit a global peak brightness topping 1200 nits. So I found that when I was over in New York and it was 35 ruddy degrees every day, I could clearly see what was going on the OnePlus's screen, even in direct sunlight, even when I was rocking some shades. And the Nord CE 4 Lite's stereo speaker setup is proper beefy too. When you pump up the volume, this allegedly maxes out at 300%, not really sure how that's even physically possible. But it certainly works wonders if you're trying to kick back with a bit of some bold YouTube spod in a particularly noisy environment. And oh my god you guys, OnePlus has only shoved on a ruddy headphone jack too. Now for the performance, kinda got a bit of a deja vu kind of vibe going on here, because OnePlus is stuck with Qualcomm's Snapdragon 695 chipset. And it certainly isn't built for gaming these days, but it does keep everyday Android shenanigans running smoothly, and it can happily handle the likes of Call of Duty and PUBG, with the added benefit of that OxygenOS gaming mode. And this gives you the best possible chance against the armies of unwashed school kids who seem to play endless death matches rather than taking a bloody shower every now and then. Now one of the biggest stress points with smartphones is the battery life, or at least it is if the battery life is utter cack. But not so here on the Nord CE 4 Lite. You've actually got a slightly bigger battery than the previous generation, 5110 mAh. And when I travelled to New York, I started in the morning in London at 100% battery charge. And then I used this phone to watch Netflix and listen to podcasts, basically the whole journey. And I didn't run out of juice until around 10 PM local time, which is 3 AM UK time. So even the most demanding users will be more than happy with that kind of performance. And the Nord CE4 Lite charges faster than the previous generation as well. You've got 80-watt SuperVOOC charging support, so bung a cable in its bottom if you're starting to run a bit dry. Be back up to full in under 50 minutes. And OnePlus's AI charging smarts are on board to help prevent overcharging and keep that battery as healthy as possible even years down the line. And so now let's finish up this lovely wee tour of the OnePlus Nord CE4 Lite with a squint at the camera tech. And the primary shooter here is a 50 meg Sony LYT 600 sensor with optical image stabilization. And as always, OnePlus's camera app is very easy to get on with. Got a whole bunch of different camera modes to play around with, including a dedicated pro mode where you can mess around with the likes of the shutter speed, the ISO levels, the white balance to get a very precise kind of shot. For these sample shots though, I just stuck with OnePlus's dedicated auto mode, so literally point and shoot, zero thought required, which suits me absolutely fine. So here's some of the pics I took over in New York when I wasn't sprinting for the nearest AC because, oh my god, it was hot enough to actually melt the pavement. And if you're looking for a bit of flexibility, you might be slightly disappointed because that secondary lens isn't an ultra-wide angle shooter or anything, it's just a basic 2 megapixel mono shooter. There's no 4K mode when it comes to shooting a video, being captured some perfectly crisp looking full HD footage. And again, here's just some sample video clips that I shot over in the States. Stabilization's pretty good for moving and shooting at the same time, and the audio side of things is alright as well, as long as it's not too blustery. The mics will generally pick up everything that's going on around you. And then flip around to the front and you got yourself a 16 megapixel selfie shooter. And here's just a couple of selfies where I wasn't absolutely gushing sweat and basically turning into a human waterfall. And there you have it, my lovelies. That in a tasty wee nutshell is the fresh new OnePlus Nord CE4 Lite 5G. Be great to hear what you think of this budget-friendly blower down in the comments below. Massive thanks again to OnePlus for sponsoring this video. Please do poke, subscribe, ding that notifications bell, all the usual YouTube bollocks, and have yourselves a bloody wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you.